also be conducted by audio and video conference without the requirement of a physically present quorum of the Rock Island City Council due to the disaster declaration issued by Governor Pritzker. Because of this order related to COVID-19 health concerns affecting the state and the city, the mayor has determined that an in-person meeting at City Hall with all participants may not be practical or prudent. Alderpersons and staff may not all be physically present at City Hall due to the disaster, and physical attendance at City Hall may be limited. To participate remotely during the public comment or public hearing portion of the meeting, please join by phone at 1-470-285-2051, PIN 929-90404#.
Thank you very much. Roll call.
Alderperson Robinson.
There we go.
Hurt.
Here.
Gilbert.
Present.
Swanson.
Here.
Parker.
Here.
Poulos.
Here.
Healy.
Here.
Mayor Tomes.
Here. Thank you very much. Public comment. Is there anybody signed up for this one? Hopefully there's no confusion about this one versus the next, the council meeting. Hang on a second here. Yes. All right, we do have a few here. And is it Terry? Is that you, Terry Toka? Yep. All right, sir, you want to ready to speak?
No, I'll wait until we get to the SSA.
Well, yeah, that's we're going. The whole study session is about SSA.
Okay, I didn't know if you had something to start first.
Yeah, we're doing public comment first, please.
Hello, I'm Terry Tolka. I'm the owner of the Rock Island Brewing Company. I've been in business in downtown Rock Island since 1990. This came to my attention. I'm also the property owner at 1815 2nd Avenue. This came to my attention, and I have a couple of quick questions. On the SSA endorsement I saw on the front page, it's got 4 businesses listed. One of them doesn't pay any property taxes. One of them is fenced out, and the other 2 aren't even in the zone as the SSA, so I don't know why that's on there. And then I've talked to a couple other people that have told me that they're listed to be endorsed on here. And when I called them, one of them's exact comments were, I have never signed or endorsed the SSA, but my name's on here. He pays property tax on the deck, but not the building or property. He pays rent. And then his neighbor is on here at the arena, and I can't repeat what he said, so we'll leave it at that. Tom Norman's on there. I talked to Tom. He said he hadn't made a decision yet. Called a few others, and they said on their recordings that they're out of business. So I believe there's supposed to be 51% whether they support it or don't by property owners. But I also think that's not being covered is the people that pay rent downtown. There's a lot of residential down here, and I've talked to a lot of them. They don't seem to know anything about this. So when the official letter came out dated in June, I got it on July 9th. I've talked to other people, and they've told me they don't know anything about it. So I'm a little concerned about the way it was handled and put out there. And as the property owner and business owner who's been here longer than most, I just want to make it really quite clear that I oppose this. There's so many other problems and issues that have been floating around for the last 10, 20 years that are still not addressed or fixed. And to add a new tax on the businesses that are struggling down here after COVID and the grant money a lot of them didn't get, I think you can all walk downtown and see all the signs that are turned off because of the rules this city has made in the last few years. And I'll be honest with you, if I wouldn't have gotten so much federal money and grant money from the federal government to stay open through some of the programs they did, I wouldn't be here right now. And I didn't think I was going to, but when they reached out to me, I took it, and I'd rather give it to the musicians, the sound guys, and the college employees I have. At my age, I really don't want to be doing this much anymore, but I am not going to not help those kids out to make a living and go through college, and for some of those struggling artists that need to make money, who got no grant money, no federal money, nothing. So that's why I'm still open. But again, I don't support this. I don't want to tie everybody up for 3 hours on what my beliefs are and thoughts are, but I'm really disappointed in the way this was handled. I don't think it was fair, and I think the majority of the people have not even been contacted or know anything about it, and that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Sarah, Jose.
Hi, good evening. So we're Sarah and Jose Zepeda. We own QC Coffee and Pancake House, 1831 3rd Avenue. We also own 3 buildings across the street, 1806, 1808, and 1810 3rd Avenue. And then we own what was the old Stecker Building, 323 and 325 18th Street. So we have a pretty significant investment in Rock Island. We live and breathe Rock Island. We love the support that we've gotten. We absolutely want to see growth down here. We are not opposed to the SSA in regards to that. We want to see that, something put into place. We've been harping for years that, because we've got rental, a rental unit that needs to be filled. We would love to see more, retail, that sort of thing. So that maybe like our customers, when they wait an hour and a half, they have to go, we would love for them to be able to support other people's businesses and purchase things downtown. And, we all work as a team effort. But we're just very concerned on how this whole thing has been handled. That's been our big concern. We definitely, I guess, as everyone says, we definitely have a lot of skin in the game. Like I said, we have a lot of investment, so it does impact us. We are small business owners, so it's a little bit different for us small business owners versus just to give an example, like something like Illinois Casualty or something, where they're a publicly traded company, this money comes out of our pocket. So being a couple of years out of COVID, it definitely, it affects us greatly. We're just concerned on how that money's gonna be handled. Security is the number 1 concern. Our building has been, the Pancake House, of all places, has been hit by gunshots twice. We had one of our windows shattered, and we were able to claim that with the insurance. We cannot make any more claims. We've had to pay for the other damage out of our pocket because the insurance could drop us. With our apartment buildings are right across the street from us. People are not going, and our apartments, we fill them very easily. We have 6 apartments over there. They're nice apartments. They're very popular. They fill like within days when they vacate. People are not going to want to live down there though when when they hear about gunshots. And one of the recent incidents, it was all kinds of police over like in the Circa parking lot because the fugitive, I don't know, whatever, I don't really know all the details, but they were running through the alley, down past our apartments. So safety is such a big concern that has to be addressed. Yes, there are definitely, the more, like little things like our trees were removed from our, in front of our building. Still nothing has been planted. There are still wires sticking out of where those trees were removed. There's still so some of our thoughts too is why hasn't there been a little bit more done on behalf of the city to, why do we have to put this SSA in place to just have some simple things taken care of? Like the safety sign or whatever that they put out when they've done construction, it's never been picked up. You can walk by now, it's still within our fenced-in area. Things are just left undone. So it feels a little bit unfair that we're having to put something like this into place to get some simple problems resolved. And again, we just really want to be sure, we're not opposed to being, taxed to pay money. If it's going to really improve, the downtown, all of us, and bring more business in. But, like one concern I have is that there's not a sheet to mail in that says I am opposed to this, or I have more questions, I need more information. It's just simply, you say yes or no. I've been hearing from when we've talked to Jack Cullen, because we've heard from other business owners, they were not supportive. And his response was always that, things are taking a much positive turn. I think they're going to say yes soon. Is he saying that my concern is he saying that about us too? Is he saying that our talks have been positive? Because they haven't. So, we just want to make sure that the money, if this gets put in place, it's really spent the way it's supposed to be. So there has to be some different management, that's for sure.
I agree with all that.
That's good. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's all that's signed up. Is there anybody virtual?
Well, I didn't sign up, but they mentioned how renters feel, and I'm a renter, so I thought maybe I would put my 2 cents in.
That's fine. Come on up, real quick.
Bring Stitch, too.
That's all right.
Okay, so I'm Molly McGuire. I live in the Goldman Lofts on Second Avenue. You have to stay right here. Stay right here. Which is run by Home Base Property Management. And I am in, and this is Stitch and Viviana, my daughter. She also lives with me downtown. I'm a renter, so I don't have the most skin in the game, and I don't understand what it's like to be a property owner in downtown Rock Island. But as a resident, I am in favor of the SSI because I would love to have more family-friendly things to do with my daughter. We love the park. We love walking to daycare at the YWCA, and she takes ballet classes at Ballet Quad Cities downtown. But it's sad to see all the closed storefronts, and we would just like to have more to do. I love being able to walk to all of the conveniences. Okay. I do know that home-based property management notified all of the tenants and gave us the information, but I haven't had a chance to talk to my other neighbors to see how they feel. One of them, I brought it up, and he didn't know anything about it, so I don't know if he even read the notice that we got from Home Base. But yeah, I can speak for myself and say that as a renter, I would love to see something like this happen to help revitalize the downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Appreciate it. All right. We will then continue on with the presentation. Jack, if you want to.
Council, thank you, Mayor, Council, City Manager Todd. Thank you all for the opportunity to speak tonight and to work in partnership with the city. Before I get into the presentation here, I want to give a shout out to Terry and to Jose and Sarah. They are shining, brilliant examples of institutions in downtown Rock Island, institutions that have been here for many years and have drawn a lot of foot traffic to downtown, a lot of positive foot traffic. They have developed loyal clienteles, and they need to be applauded for their investment. I think there is a common thread in both of the comments that were made, is that there is some frustration with the city, with various management over time of what has been invested in downtown, at what level. And I think that's why we're all here tonight. If we remember, and to jog everyone's memories, the reason that I'm up here, these folks are up here, is because council in late 2020 had asked the mayor to form a task force to discuss some of the issues and challenges in downtown Rock Island and put together some plans to really kickstart revitalization efforts. And so that task force that was put together, they looked at different options. They thought about hiring someone internally to be a downtown manager in-house. They talked about potentially starting a new organization from scratch to manage the downtown organization. They also talked about contracting or partnering with the Chamber of Commerce, seeing that the Chamber operates in this space in other communities in the Quad Cities. That was ultimately the decision that the task force made, which then led to a contract with the Chamber that the council approved in early 2021. As a result, I was hired as director downtown Rock Island to work with the downtown steering committee, essentially the task force that was put together by the mayor. We included some other business owners, property owners, to have their voice at the table. And our main objective was to explore the creation of a place management organization and to determine a sustainable funding model. And so, the reason being for that is to really provide a higher level of service to enhance the quality of life, encourage more investment, create a healthy, vibrant downtown. So that work is complete. We have completed the exploratory period. It has been my honor and privilege to work with the property owners that stand beside me right here tonight, but also build trust and relationships with the many other downtown property owners, business owners, residents, other stakeholders throughout the greater downtown area. And it's tonight that I'm speaking on behalf of them, those who are willing to do more, to put some more resources out there, to create that healthy, vibrant downtown that we all know we need and want. So I think it's important to look at place management here, as this is key language that was included in our contract, was to explore a place management organization and a sustainable funding model to fund place management services. So essentially, these are custom services, activities above and beyond basic municipal duties and general property owner obligations in a downtown or commercial neighborhood. And how this gets done in most cases are through public-private partnerships. So similar to the one that we started between the city and the chamber for the provision of services. In most cases, municipality is not performing these types of special activities and programs, above and beyond what they usually do in all neighborhoods. And so there is a partnership with a dedicated downtown or a Main Street organization, often part of a chamber of commerce, to help close the gap. And so proper place management is really about enhancing the overall cleanliness, safety, prosperity, general welfare of a commercial area. And it's really of special benefit to those who are investing in that area, the business owners, the property owners, the ones that are hoping to see a return on their investment. And so a common funding tool to support this type of work are these place management services, and common in all other major metros in the Quad Cities. Bettendorf, Davenport, East Moline, all have at least one of these business improvement districts, known as a self-supporting municipal improvement district in Iowa, a special service area in Illinois, to use to help update, maintain, grow, promote downtowns and other commercial areas. Throughout the country, there are about 2,500 of these business improvement districts in place. To give you an idea, the city of Chicago has about 60 of them. That's how many of the commercial neighborhoods where a lot of people are moving to get their unique branding, identity. Again, it's the custom services that are designed to address some of the issues, challenges, but also leverage some of the unique attributes that a community may have. So in these business improvement districts, it's common for services to be paid for by a levy on taxable parcels within a contiguous geographical area. And so the funds from that levy, in this case we're talking about an SSA in Illinois, are restricted to being invested into the downtown for an agreed upon services, improvements, activities. And property owners, given that they are the ones that are providing the funds for these services to happen, are the ones that have the control, or they make up the majority of the governing body of these types of entities. And so this is truly an opportunity to engage all property owners, leverage the various funding streams available, and to provide a higher level of service to address the unique issues and challenges that we have in downtown Rock Island. But again, to leverage the unique attributes and the things that make downtown Rock Island unique and share that with the rest of the world. So again, this partnership is with the Chamber, providing place management services. There are 2 other place management organizations within the Quad Cities Chamber. That is the Downtown Bettendorf Organization and the Downtown Davenport Partnership. And the Chamber also coordinates quarterly meetings with all of the downtowns throughout the Quad Cities. So from Silvis to LeClaire, everything in between, to share best practices on place management, placemaking, to discuss regional opportunities, to collaborate on regional projects. And our core areas of work that we focus on are business and economic growth. So think business attraction, programs to support business owners and building owners, like interior rehab grants or facade program, design assistance, grants for entrepreneurs to get going in a community, infrastructure and livability. So this is the day-to-day sausage making of a downtown, the making sure that it's clean, it's welcoming, it's free of trash, it's free of graffiti, a lot of issues that we have in our downtown, inhibitors to growth. That's how these areas of work are designed to combat those inhibitors to growth. Advocacy and promotions, being that advocate on behalf of the private sector and that liaison between the public sector and the private sector. It sounds like from both Terry and the Zepeda's comments at the beginning, it sounds like they've had many frustrations working with the public sector since they've been in place. And the way that these are designed is to be that that middle ground, that liaison between the private sector and the public sector, just how our partnership was designed. And so since April 2021, when I was hired for this position, and we began to explore the creation of the downtown place management, as I said, this exploratory period is complete. And so on this slide are the highlights of the contract pieces that we've executed. So that is the exploring the downtown place management organization, the sustainable funding model for that organization and services, to represent and advocate for downtown property owners, business owners, and residents, establish and foster relationships with all stakeholders, and identify funding opportunities through public and private partners and grant opportunities to work with what we have and to make more of an impact in terms of updating the infrastructure and the shared spaces that we have downtown. So this is the work that we've been focused on, hyper-focused on, day after day with the Downtown Steering Committee. And going through this process, it is clear, again, there is an appetite for change. There is a call for a higher level of service to address the inhibitors to growth that we've noted, that you heard from Terry and the Zepedas as well. There's a want for direct control over those services among the private sector, and an opportunity to exert control of how dollars, if they were raised through an SSA and from the city, how those dollars are spent and invested back into the downtown. And they're also looking for better advocacy and support. So these are my high-level takeaways after meeting with many property owners, business owners, residents, other stakeholders in the downtown since last April. I want to focus in on, real briefly, one of the major pieces of place management organizations, and that is creating a cleaner, safer downtown through both ambassadors and community navigators. So these are models that we've seen work across the country, and we just have to look across the river to see this in motion right now. So the proposal is for our team to have, our downtown organization, to have a dedicated downtown cleaning team, community navigators, so people who are assisting those who are experiencing quality of life issues in the downtown. Maybe it's connecting them with a resource if they're struggling with housing. Perhaps it's intervening if there's some nuisance behavior happening, or de-escalating a situation if it rises to that level, whether it's aggressive panhandling or public consumption of alcohol, things of that nature, and working with our police department and other social service partners to address those issues. End of the day, it's about pumping more resources into the downtown, more eyes and ears on the ground, because right now there is a complete lack of stewardship in place daily, day after day after day. And we're experiencing some of that broken windows theory, which I don't have to tell anyone here about. You'll hear it from the property owners, but if there's trash in the street, if there's graffiti on the wall, it gives people the notion that it's a free-for-all, and they can do as they please. And so the idea with this is, again, investing more resources, having a dedicated team, focusing on the downtown daily. One of the unique things in downtown Rock Island, we have a lot of social service partners. And they have trained staff that perform these types of outreach services and efforts already, sometimes in the downtown and other places throughout the region. And so we've had preliminary conversations with both the police department as well as these social service agencies to, if we get this place management organization off the ground, to explore partnerships with Christian Care, with Project Now, with the police department, with Robert Young, to have dedicated street outreach workers, community navigators, that are working with our folks who, may not be having the most productive use or use of the downtown space. So whether that be, again, nuisance behaviors or things that rise to the level of enforcement, it's our aim through these different partnerships to have that dedicated team day after day working with the people with the goal of ultimately changing that negative behavior. So why this, why now? Well, as I said, we've had our contract in place since early 2021, and downtown Rock Island is in a unique place. It's a unique time. There have been patterns of disinvestment. The COVID-19 pandemic only worsened things. However, we have a lot of great assets, businesses, places to live, places to go see and do in downtown Rock Island that need to be celebrated. In addition, we are seeing millions of dollars in private investment into the new federal building, the YWCA, as well as the public funds that have been secured for downtown infrastructure improvements. And that is why it's at this time, as all of these investments are happening, the improvements are will be made over the coming year, there needs to be a structure in place to make sure that we're maintaining, programming, and celebrating what we have here in the future. Otherwise, there are concerns that, okay, these investments happen, some of the issues and challenges that we're working with still exist, and we're in the same spot we are 5-10 years down the road, struggling with these same challenges. And so this is a path forward that the property owners here behind me believe is worth pursuing, and you'll hear directly from them why. And so at this time, again, I'd like to thank you, Council, Mayor, Todd, for having us tonight, and I will pass it over to Mr. Sutherland, President and CEO of the Illinois Casualty Company and Chair of our Downtown Steering Committee.
Thank you, Jack. So I'm going to come here and speak on behalf of Illinois Casualty Company, where I'm the president and CEO, but I'm also going to give a little bit of my personal perspective on why I think this is the right direction for the city. So first, for the company, for those that don't know, we've been in downtown Rock Island for 72 years. So since 1950, the company was originated in downtown Rock Island. That's always been its home. And even to the point that in 2003, we made an investment in over $3 million to build a new home office downtown. When I was not at the company at that time, but I can guarantee you there were many people trying to bend the ear of our then president, John Klockow, to find a different place and to not invest in downtown Rock Island. But John and his family had a commitment to the city, and so we in his one requirement of our new office was that it would be in downtown Rock Island. So we did that. I came to the city in 2006, and I can tell you that my first impressions when I came here were going downtown for lunch at Ribco, a vibrant downtown, people out enjoying lunch, a good downtown business feel. I would tell you that that's not how I feel right now, and I'd like to see us get back to that. From a personal perspective, I grew up in a town called Flint, Michigan. And so some of you may have heard of it. We're a little resort town, world famous for our special green water that you can get at an affordable price. The reason I mention being from Flint is because I grew up there when we made the most cars in the world. And that was Flint's identity at one time. And again, I can tell that water joke, but if you think about it being your hometown, it's not fun to have that be the identity. The reality is I watched Flint not invest in its downtown. I watched Flint have a lot of infighting over things, and so their downtown deteriorated. And I can tell you that that is what led to everything falling apart around it, and I don't want to see that happen in Rock Island. So my final would be, why do I see this as the right avenue for it? I come at this from a business perspective. I don't have the emotional story to pull on your heart that you're going to maybe hear from some others. But from a business perspective, we've invested a lot of money downtown. I want to see that investment grow. I want to see our building worth more, not less. And so I feel like we need to have specialized funds targeted at downtown that are going to be invested in those things that the downtown property owners find important and necessary. And so that's why when Jack came to my office, I said, I've never supported a tax in my entire life, but how are you going to get me to support this one? And quite honestly, that's how he was able to get me to support this, because it'll be targeted at what Rock Island needs, in my opinion, which is a focus on downtown cleanliness, safety, and growth. And that's what this will do. So I will hand things over to Nicole, who will speak much more from the heart and give you a much better spiel than I have.
Good evening, good afternoon. I'm Nicole Watson-Lamb. I own Miss Brimani's Hair and Beauty Supply and the Urban Reserve, currently located in downtown Rock Island. I also own the property of 1711 and 1709 Second Avenue. So I'm both have a business investment and a property investment. The pull at your heartstrings is because I'm so emotional whenever I talk about this, so just bear with me. Long resident of Rock Island. Started my business on 11th Street, was there for 21 years, moved downtown to the old Barkins building in 2017, opened in 2019, a few months prior to COVID, then being shut down. You know, I had a very long haul, hard time trying to get the Urban Reserve open. The building was old, there was a lot of codes that need to be met. It's team of me. So I do understand the Zepeda's issues with them feeling that, you know, as a small business, it's different when you're looking at this and trying to keep your business afloat and still have to put in more. It's not fair. But bottom line is we have to do what we have to do in order for us to grow. And frankly, the city just doesn't have the resources to keep up with it. If they did, downtown would be better. So in my personal opinion, if we're going to, if we want us to grow, then we sometimes have to pour into ourselves a little bit more. And the fact that we are able to control those funds and we have actual say-so in it versus just putting it into a pot and let the city, you know, disperse it as they feel, I would rather know where the money is going. But I do understand everybody's thought pattern on that. I will also say that I kind of took a little offense to the quote of how things were handled, because we've been working really, really hard to try to make sure that property owners and residents and people were aware of what we were trying to do, because we want everyone to be on board. We want everybody to understand that this is a good thing. And, you know, I'm excited for the first time. I'm excited to be in Rock Island. I'm excited to be downtown. When I first bought the Barkins building, downtown really didn't look good. Not a lot of foot traffic. I mean, even today, with the exception of QC Pancake House that has a 2-hour wait, there's not a lot of foot traffic that's going on downtown. And so I took the chance and I invested, and now I'm looking forward to that investment to grow. And I'm willing to put in more because it's necessary. And sometimes you have to do what's necessary. So I'm hoping that you all agree with this, and I think I'm gonna let it go. You guys have all good day.
Good evening. John Keim, owner of the original Huckleberry's Great Pizza and Calzones the last 30 years. Resident for the last 25 years downtown Rock Island, owned 3 properties. I was a founding member of the district when it was brought to the attention with Jumers, Gary Inks, Dan Carmody, and some other members of the current downtown. And I was at the first meeting, and I was excited from what I heard, because they said they're going to bring thousands of people downtown and cooperative marketing together with folks. And I thought, wow, what a bang for your buck. So I took my checkbook out, wrote a check right then for membership. I was part of the board of directors for that. Enjoyed my time there, working with a lot of great people to help the downtown that weren't business owners, property owners. Then I was asked to be on the Downtown 2000, and that was big boy stuff. And I really enjoyed it, and I listened a lot, met a lot of great people. And I saw the vision, and actually it was a lot of the vision that was already planted years before that came to fruition. And then they went into Downtown 2020. And that was exciting, because that's after the millennial. And I couldn't fathom even 20 years later, because this was right before the 2000. And then things were starting to go, and then all of a sudden it became disbanded. Don't know why, all the reasons, but it just fell apart. And I think we're in the position today because of something like that fell apart. Something that was apparent, kind of a guidance, management of the downtown. People that saw the bigger picture and helped people achieve what they wanted to make the downtown better for everyone. So I want to see that fixed, and I'm excited about the steering committee. I'm excited about the work they've done. I'm excited about our neighbors, our downtown, the business folks, our customers, the ones we're going to be inviting down here in the future. Just to make it real simple, I believe this is pennies on the dollars for the dollars that we're going to get in return. And yeah, do I want an investment that's better when I go out of business? I understand Terry's been here for a long time. I've been in the industry for 44 years, 30 years for myself. And, you know, I'll go as long as I can. I still enjoy it. I still want to enjoy it. I don't want to leave something for somebody else. But I do feel it won't happen without a collaboration of great people and minds working together to make this a better place and to showcase what we really can offer. Born and raised in Rock Island, families here, love it. Love being downtown, love being a resident. I've seen it all, heard it all, felt it all, I think. But I do know the future starts now, and I don't think it's a time to not go forward for any fears or concerns. I think the travesty will be what we could have had when other people have copied our original program we did down in the district years ago, and their cities are a lot more vibrant. But I do know the nation's in trouble, the state's in trouble, the city's in trouble, the Quad Cities, you know, for growth, for money. But I think we got to start, and I think we can make a difference, and I think we can at least band together, make it look a little better, feel a little better, communicate a little better, and then in the end, just know we tried our best. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Brandy Vandewally. I'm the owner of Skeleton Key Art and Antiques at 520 18th Street here in Rock Island. We are in the position of being not only business owners, but we do actually live at that address as well. We've been there for just shy of 9 years. Well, no, I'm sorry. We've been there for a little over 9 years. The business opened. Next week will be our 9-year anniversary. And over that time, we've seen a lot of changes in the downtown, and I would like to say that those have been positive, but most of them have not been. I personally kind of came into being part of the steering committee a little leery, definitely thinking, I don't want to be paying more money. You know, we're already suffering a little bit downtown. The timing post-COVID definitely concerned me, and they've convinced me enough that I'm here speaking on their behalf today. One of the things as a business owner that I've tried to do over the years is connect small businesses together for events, to help them band together, to get a greater reach, to make our advertising dollars go further. And I feel like what this has the possibility of doing is what I've been doing on a very small scale for the whole downtown. I can organize shop hops every weekend, but there's still only so many people I can reach. I do that, you know, out of my own pocket. I feel like the investment I'm being asked to make is less than I spend on these shop hops easily. I think really you'll find a lot of the downtown owners, we're already putting a lot of extra money into surviving and to keeping our businesses afloat down here. And I think the amount of money that we're being asked to contribute to the SSA is going to more than pay for itself. And in fact, I think in the end, most of us will probably come out ahead because we do run a lot of advertising to stay afloat. I don't know the particular dollars and cents for every last person, and I don't really want to, that's their business. But I know what the dollar amount that we're looking at for us is, and it's less than I would pay for a single newspaper ad. I mean, it really makes it a no-brainer, in my opinion. We're kind of on the fringes of the downtown, and we won't necessarily see quite as much of, you know, the enhanced snow removal services or garbage pickup. But I really feel like what's good for the downtown is good for Rock Island as a whole. I think as the downtown goes, so does Rock Island. So I really urge the other property owners here. I'm telling you, I really understand your hesitancy, because I was definitely one of those people who went into the steering committee thinking, no way. But I think if you really look at the dollars and how much you're going to be contributing, it's not a huge amount. I think they've worked very hard to make it a manageable amount, and I think what we're going to see is going to surpass everybody's expectations. Thank you very much.
There's still some more to go, presentation to go.
All right, in preparing for this, I was talking with Jack about what he would cover, what I would cover. And so I said, if you got some really boring business feeling stuff that a numbers guy is going to dig into, give that to me. So with that, hopefully you're excited, and we'll dig into some of the mechanics of how the process has gone so far in building support for the SSA. And first off, I've got a map up there because I heard a couple things earlier, and I can tell you from coming from out of town originally, I thought the district was downtown. And so if you had asked me, that's what I would equate it. And as you can see this map, we are doing a much more inclusive area than that. We are trying to recognize the entire downtown so that all the businesses can thrive in this map. It aligns pretty well with the TIF map. So when I talk about things and start going through the process of what we're looking at in terms of dollars, budgets, those kinds of things, I want to make sure that everyone understands we're not talking about a reboot of the district. We're talking about downtown Rock Island, a big, inclusive, vibrant downtown is what we're looking for. So first, we'll talk about what's gone on in terms of garnering support, because we went out and decided to meet, that the best way to promote this was to meet face-to-face with people, old school, shake hands, and talk and say, would you be willing to sign off? And the first thing I can tell you is every one of those meetings followed very much the same pattern. It started out for the first 15 minutes, no offense, I had to explain I don't work for the city, because that's what they thought. So for 15 minutes, they told me every frustration they've had of being downtown and what has or hasn't happened with the city and what they would like to see happen. So as we'd go through that, and I would talk about the mechanics of the steering committee in the way that we plan to do oversight and what the amount of the SSA is and those things, I would tell you those meetings turned from that negative start to a very optimistic, hey, will I be able to come to steering committee meetings? Absolutely, we can have a seat for you. Hey, are you going to be doing things to worry about the look and feel of the storefronts? Yep, we're going to be looking at safety. That's my big concern. Are you looking at that? Yes, we're looking at that. So each time we had those in-person meetings, and by the way, almost 2/3 of those people that we met with did sign on, so a pretty good success rate, that it started from that place of skepticism to a place of optimism. And that's where I'd like to see the entire process go. I truly understand the skepticism. Like I say, I am a natural skeptic. So this would normally be something that you would see me being skeptical, and I've been sold and I'm out there selling it. So just in terms of some of the numbers, we have 27% of the parcels have signed on, and 33% of the proposed SSA value has signed on. And I give those numbers, so the 27 and 33%, to give some perspective, because one of the things we talk about is this is not the only SSA. We have SSAs in the Quad Cities, et cetera. In the state of Iowa, in the city of Chicago, you do have thresholds that you have to meet. These would exceed those thresholds, generally 25%. So again, we don't have that requirement, but just give everybody a sense of other communities that have that numeric standard, we've met it. I want to point to the fact that in addition to all those positive sign-ons from parcel holders, you also have community support from people that did not have to contribute, did not have to be part of this process. Augustana, Bailey's, Metrolink that you see up there. Additionally, Modern Woodman has committed $50,000 a year if the SSA is there, and as long as that and the steering committee are in place. So we do have commitments that go even beyond those that have skin in the game in terms of having to sign on for the SSA assessment. This list sort of speaks for itself, I think, is the easiest note. And I just wanted to have it there as a visual for you. You look at some of the businesses that have signed on: Blue Cap Brewery, American Bank, Illinois Casualty Company, Jim's Rib Haven, U.S. Bank, Wake Brewing. You can see it goes from large corporate, small entrepreneur, and everybody in between. And instead of thinking of 117 nameless, faceless constituents out there that signed on, supported this, that's a visual for you of the members of your downtown community that have put their name on paper saying, we support this. This is the budget, and I'll now take 45 minutes to go through each line, and we will cover every dollar. No. Honestly, I say that jokingly because budgets are always a fluid thing. You guys know that more than anybody. You can plan, you can have your budget, and then real life comes. The budget's accurate for one day, and then real life comes. So, but the idea here, the reason I show the budget, and you've got the proposed assessments, and again, 1.15% is what we propose. That would raise $315,000 from the SSA. We are looking for matching dollars of $150,000 from the city, combined with $69,750 from other community partners. So basically, a total budget of $534,750. sounds like a lot of money. The reason you have the budget there is to show how much, where that goes. And we are gonna, as a steering committee, the commitment has been to utmost transparency. I have said from day one that I want the steering committee to manage these funds like a business, effectively, efficiently, and that's what you'll see. You'll see that this is not, there are not line items in this budget to just pay pet projects, spend money on frivolous, ineffective methods. It's all about core services that the downtown needs. So that's all great. You've got your budget. You say you're going to have oversight. The next thing that I can tell you happens in every meeting is, well, how will I know if you're doing what you say? Well, one of the things when we say that we want to run this like a business holds itself accountable. So the steering committee will not only have transparency, it'll have accountability. And these are some of the key metrics that we've looked at right now to measure ourselves. Some of these will be measured in absolute form in terms of how do we match up to similar communities around the country. Many of these metrics will be measured in terms of their trend. And are we improving? Are we seeing movement? And I've made the commitment more than once, and I will make it here in a public statement. If after 5 years these metrics do not show this SSA is working, I'll be the one standing at this podium telling this council to end the SSA, because it needs to have a specific purpose, it needs to have a measurement of success, and it has to achieve some goals. And that is the plan, and we plan to be accountable for that. So the last thing I'll say, that I'm going to hand things over to Jack, is you hear a lot of passion up here, you hear a lot of optimism from people, and also I would understand that you hear some skepticism. I would encourage you to buy into the optimism, buy into the belief of what can be, and the fact that when you get a public-private partnership, that's when you get the most effective, because everybody's concerns and needs are being met and discussed in a transparent way. Thank you.
So, first of all, thank you, Aaron, Nicole, John, Brandy, for sharing your thoughts, your why. I know it's very inspiring for me. I've heard it many times from you and other property owners, business owners, why they've invested in downtown, why they see this as a path worth exploring to stabilize their investment and hopefully grow it with the ultimate goal of growing the overall downtown. And so, again, publicly, thank you for your investment, your efforts, your engagement, your leadership here. At the end of the day, this is a property owners, business owners, place management organization. And so, great stuff. Last slide here is a proposed adoption timeline. Given the state statute, you heard from property owners who are requesting for council to accept the proposal to consider establishing an SSA. And so I believe also in a memo that the Community Economic Development Department provided to City Council ahead of this meeting kind of outlines the potential timeline, if you will, for next steps. So the proposal would be for an initiating ordinance to be considered at this council meetings in August. If that were to go through, if that would be accepting the steering committee's proposal for an SSA and downtown place management organization, there would be a 60-day waiting period prior to a public hearing, at which place in October, which we call phase 2, a public hearing would take place, and an ordinance, first reading of an ordinance that would be actually establishing the proposed special service area. Following that, an additional 60-day waiting period for objection petitions to be filed would begin. And at November 7th, the following council meeting, establishing ordinance, second reading, and an extension of our current contract. Phase 3 would be at the end of the 60-day period for objection petitions to be submitted, December 23rd, at which point, if there was no petition filed and the SSA was approved, it would be certified with the county so that 2022 taxes payable 2023 would start to fund the organization next year. Again, this is the proposed adoption timeline. You've heard from property owners representing the steering committee here tonight in support. And at this point, we'd be open to any questions from council. So thank you again for the opportunity to present to you all tonight.
I'd like to start off, Jack. Real quickly, just for clarification, the council received a copy of the presentation on July 21st. And under the SSA endorsements community support section, it listed Modern Woodman, but we do notice on today's presentation that has been eliminated. Is there a reason for that?
We received a signed letter from the leadership team at Modern Woodman confirming their financial commitment of $50,000 between 2023 through 2027 each year if an SSA is certified. And so we verbally say that. We can share the letter with council to communicate that. It was initially on our presentations, shared at our steering committee meeting last week. However, there was a concern among leadership that they looked like they would be supporting the SSA on that specific slide. And so,
Isn't that what we're talking about? It's a supportive.
yeah, supportive of the downtown place management organization that's been proposed. They may not necessarily agree with the mechanics of an additional property tax, but they are invested downtown. They want to see downtown thrive, and have committed a $50,000 annual contribution to the proposed downtown place management organization for special services, activities, programs. If an SSA is passed and a downtown Rock Island place management organization is stood off the ground.
And I have a couple other questions for you real quick. So in regard to rental property owners, what kind of a response have you had from the tenants, and what do you see as, to me, if I'm a landlord and I own residential property that I'm renting out, obviously those owners are going to be passing on those costs to their renters. What do you anticipate an average? What have you heard from those kind of people as far as raising their rents and things like that?
Yeah, so I think it depends case by case, correct? It would be up to the landlord or the property owner and how to pay for additional property taxes. That would be the same if the city or the county were to raise taxes at any point. I think you heard from Molly McGuire tonight, who is a renter at an apartment complex downtown. She seems to be supportive of it. Had a conversation with a business owner downtown today who didn't know if there would be a burden placed on them as a tenant, but saw the benefits of an entity like this that's hyper-focused on the day-to-day needs of downtown, with the overall mission of creating a more vibrant, healthy downtown district. But I would say, I think with the process given here in the timeline, the opportunity for public hearings, for public input, I would believe would draw out some of those responses. But again, I think it is up to the property owner, individual property owner, and how those additional dollars would be paid for.
Well, I understand. My concern is those people that may be on a budget, they may have aren't we now potentially driving tenants out of the downtown area because we're raising their rents, and maybe they don't, are the tenants are they all getting the letters? Do we know that they're all getting them? And I guess that's one of my concerns is, they're gonna, again, I'm in support. I agree with this, but there's a lot of things that I think that are maybe overlooked here a little bit. And I feel like that those tenants should also have a voice. And I feel like, we like to encourage people to stay in our downtown, in our city, but are we driving those people out by increasing their rents? And they don't know. There's an uncertainty for them. I wouldn't want to know, hey, well, you may raise it $30, you may raise it $50. So to me, I think that's a concern.
Couple things I'd just like to address on that. One, I do know that the letters went out and they were certified mail, so Jack did a process there, because I do want to make sure everyone understands the steering committee in this entire process intends to be transparent and accountable. So we are not trying to quiet any voices. And quite honestly, I've heard the issues of what you're raising in terms of, are we going to drive people out of downtown? I think you will lose many more residents downtown because they don't have a place to go to get groceries. They don't have a place to go on a Friday and Saturday night to have fun. They don't feel safe walking outside of their building. That is going to cause them to move much more than $6 or $7 a month in their rent, although I'm sensitive to the fact that every dollar counts, particularly in today's economic environment. But it is sort of a chicken and an egg. If you don't have the downtown that has the amenities and the vibrancy that people want by living in downtown, that's what will drive them out, in my opinion.
I understand, I'm not arguing with that. My point is, I've heard numbers that range anywhere from not $6, we're talking $25, in excess of $25 a month. Now, that's a little bit more than $6.
Well,
And again,
from a math perspective, 1.15%, if you did the math of 1.15% on the building value that would have to be there to drive something up $25 a month in, let's say, a 6-unit building, I don't think the math's going to pencil out on that. It's
Well, that's-
1.15% on
provided
building
that the landlord goes along with those percentages.
So how many businesses did you guys actually reach out to? How many parcels are we talking about? I've heard the number 434. Is that accurate?
Yeah, there are about 434 taxable parcels within that greater downtown area. And so we met with, as Aaron pointed out during the presentation, we met with as many as we could
How many is that?
in person. Have to look at my notes, and I can pull it up on my phone. I apologize, but we met with, so help me out with the math. 50 property owners signed in support. We had about a 65% success rate when meeting with them. I would say probably upwards of 100 different property owners. Included in those that have signed, though, are many different LLCs in that list that was presented. There may be a name of an individual who may have 3, 4, 5, 6 different holding companies for their various properties. 120 parcels were represented in the endorsements. When we did send certified mailers, we sent those out to all that we had not been able to meet with or hear back from. So we also, called, emailed some folks. Maybe we did not hear back from them, but we did certified mail to ensure that 100% of property owners could be contacted. We did not send certified mail because it is costly. It's an investment. It's about $6.20 per mailer to those that we had already connected with or sat down and talked through all the different nuances and mechanics of the proposal.
So how many mailers did you send out?
We sent out, I believe, 120.
Sent out 120?
I believe
Okay.
so.
How many did you get returned?
Meaning,
That they didn't sign for them, no one picked them up?
probably about, or less than 10.
10?
Yep, less than 10.
Okay.
Couple of questions I have, if I may. We talk about residents down there. How many single-family dwellings are within the parameters of the proposed SSA, the boundaries?
This is something that we've talked with the Community Economic Development Department on. There may be some properties that were initially zoned commercial, had been transitioned to a residential zoning. The goal with this was to encompass that greater downtown area, was to encompass properties that were zoned as commercial businesses or downtown businesses that aligned with the downtown TIF district. And so there are some single-family homes that are throughout the downtown, and I believe it's these additional opportunities to meet with the public, to hear from the public, and to adjust those boundaries if needed, and if there is a want for it. This is a part of the proposal, right? The boundaries are part of that proposal. Nothing is set in stone.
Will they be taxed as well as the businesses, the 1.15?
If they would remain in the downtown special service area boundaries, that would be the case. However, if there are opportunities to draw them out, it was not our intention to include single-family homes in the downtown special service area.
So it's legal to go ahead and draw them out? Is that what you're saying?
It depends on the location of the property. It has to be a contiguous, continuous geographical area. And so that is something that we will work with the Community Economic Development Department, legal staff, to make sure that we're abiding by the law, but also working with community members. And there are some, there may be some, for example, that are on the periphery or on the edge that could be drawn out easily. It's more of an issue if it's a property that's in the middle of the downtown and it's maybe changed to a residential zoning, and you can't draw a donut hole on the map because it has to be a contiguous area.
Right. Well, and my concern for asking these questions is that for businesses, I see the direct benefit of an SSA. For private owners, there's less benefit, and can they recoup their investment, or will they recoup their investment in being part of this SSA, or will they decide that, hey, you know, I'm not getting my money's worth, I want to move to someplace else? But I have a few more questions, if I may. Please, please.
Hello. Again, since I am both a business owner and a property owner, we live on site. And what I would say to that is, even if we didn't have a business, if we fell within that district, we would still be enjoying some of the benefits from the proposed SSA.
Okay.
The other thing is that I think that the changes, the improvements, should positively affect their property values, I would think. So I think the amount that they're being taxed versus what they might, get in return for this, I still think the dollars make sense for them. I understand your concern, but if I were to be in one of those homes, I think I would still be for it. The security has definitely been at the forefront for me, for things that we've seen downtown. And I think just those boots on the ground helping to keep some of those problems tamped down and under control, I would happily pay that 1% if it's going to make my neighborhood a little bit safer. But that's just me, and I realize everybody looks at that a little bit differently.
And I appreciate your input, because, again, we need to hear from the citizens who are going to be most affected by it.
Yeah.
And those are some of the people that we're not hearing from.
Yeah.
I do have a couple more questions, if I may.
Yeah,
just
one thing to add, I'm sorry, and John can speak to this as a downtown resident as well. There were numerous property owners that were residents that own condos, for example, that have endorsed the SSA. In fact, one from the mailer I received from someone who's based in California, received one over the weekend. But I think it goes back to the place management and the special service area. So these are services and activities that the municipality does not have the capacity to do in every neighborhood, right? So this is the funding mechanism that enables that higher level of service. And so I think that's a benefit of living or doing business or owning property in one of these. It's the way that it's designed is to be of direct benefit to that business owner or property owner. And so anyone who would own property in that area.
I have a quick thing to piggyback, and then I'll let you get back to your questions.
Okay.
So property owners, that means nonprofits and churches don't pay a dime, but they reap all the benefits, correct?
Depends on the nonprofit and if they have that status. For example, like the Quad City Botanical Center, although they're a nonprofit, they still pay some property taxes. And so they, for example, were one of the endorsers of the proposed SSA. Depends if that church has that tax exempt status. But yes, if you were a tax exempt nonprofit, not paying, and you owned a property and not paid property taxes, they would benefit from the services and activities that would be provided by the organization.
Right, and that's just my concern, because we're talking about the residents who, renters and all those people who aren't going to buy into this, and they're going to have to pay because they're property owners. But yet we do have property owners that are nonprofits that will not have to pay. And I have a problem with that. But go ahead.
Well, I just said, we talked on several occasions about having boots on the ground and having ambassadors downtown. And I'm just wondering how those ambassadors will be selected and how they will be paid. I mean, obviously it's in the budget. And who's going to do the training, and where does the liability fall when should they step outside the bounds of their training?
So, as I mentioned during the presentation, one of the things that has been discussed is to potentially partner with the service providers that are already doing this type of work, so the Christian Care, the Project Now, to use some of the funding that is generated by this place management organization, the SSA, and the other funding components, and to leverage those people who have that training. But we've also talked with the chief and his team about providing maybe some additional training to those people who are doing that community navigator work. And so that is not set in stone about how those community navigators would be employed, but that's at least preliminary conversations that we've had with those community partners about using the folks that they have who are trained to do this type of work, to de-escalate situations, to intervene, to connect them with resources that they may need if they're experiencing a certain issue or challenge. And again, we've talked about this at the Downtown Safety Committee meeting as well. It's not this sole community navigator work that would maybe solve all issues that we're seeing downtown. It's a piece of the puzzle. And so that's where we think there is a lane for the downtown place management organization to be in, is through that community navigator type of work, as well as through the cleaning, beautification, and maintenance ambassadors. As again, we're not reinventing the wheel. This is a model that is used across the country and across the river. We don't have to look very far. So definitely Rock Island is unique in that we have our own set of challenges and opportunities, but we're looking at models that have worked in other places to adopt those and do it in the way that we need to.
So to clarify that, if I may, they will be held accountable for their behavior, for their actions, as our officers are held accountable. Our officers are held accountable to the chief of police. Who would these folks be held accountable to?
Again, we don't have a contract in place, right? So we're talking preliminary discussions that we've had with community partners. If the place management organization is being proposed as an affiliate entity of the Quad Cities Chamber, we would have a separate contract with a service provider such as Christian Care or Project Now to provide those types of services. And in addition to that, they may have a line with the Rock Island Police Department. If something does rise to the level of enforcement, they wouldn't be the ones doing the enforcing. So I hope that provides some clarity.
Thank you.
Can we talk about the letter, please, Jack? So when did that letter go out to those 120 businesses or 120 parcels that you said you sent it out to? Because Mr. Tilka said he got his July 9th.
Property owners, yep. So we sent that, the letter, everything was completed in June, and the mailers were taken to the Postal Service, the postal office downtown, the first week of July.
Okay. So in that, I have a copy of the letter. It makes no mention of the July 19th steering meeting that you guys had, and it makes no mention in there of this study session, and it makes no mention of whether you're opposed to this. Do you think that's right? I'm asking you, Jack. Thanks, Bill. You're welcome. Yeah, absolutely.
So in that letter, it was pointed out and highlighted at the bottom. If folks have questions or anything, questions, complaints.
It doesn't say
Want
complaints.
to talk about it, reach out to me. Information there that was provided was an email, a number to contact me.
And then there was another portion that said, if you're in favor, sign this.
Correct.
There's nothing that mentions if anyone is opposed to this.
Correct.
Okay.
But again, there was contact information that if folks, property owners, wanted more information, wanted to talk through this, had the opportunity to reach out. And again, this isn't the only notice. So the city itself will be sending out a notice to all property owners. This is now following the state process. The city process has begun. This is in your court. And so all property owners will be notified about the public hearing and the next steps.
Could I please follow up on your question there?
Can you give me 1 second,
Sure,
please, Judith?
absolutely.
So let me get this straight. Mr. Tilka got a letter July 9th, and you want us to vote August 8th to raise taxes, and you sent that letter to 120 people?
The vote August 8th will not be to raise taxes.
It
The
will
vote
be-
August 8th will to initiate the process that would accept the proposal from the property owners and the steering committee that you heard from tonight. Then there is a 60-day waiting period before a public hearing is scheduled on October 24th, in which place the voting for establishing the actual ordinance and the funding mechanism would take place at that point.
That's a little misleading because the August 8th ordinance has to include the maximum tax rate as well as the map, the term of the SSA. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt on your
You're good.
time.
Absolutely.
But may I follow up now on that
Please do. ma'am.
question about the letter? So when he asked you, there was no mention of the July 19th steering committee meeting or this July 25th study session. Now, Mr. Sutherland repeatedly said, we want the steering committee to be transparent. So why wasn't mention of these two meetings included in this mailing so that you could give people the opportunity to come and hear what you're all about and to get some of their concerns addressed? It was purposely left out, in my opinion.
So, number one, I'll be the first one to acknowledge, maybe there's an oversight to not make people aware of the July 19th steering committee, but magically I've had residents that came to the steering committees. I've had people that know how to get to the meeting. And I would say, contrary to the tone I'm hearing here, I believe people are smart enough when they get a letter that has a contact number in email, that they know that I can contact this whether I'm in favor or against. I don't have to only contact in favor. So could we have done better with the form? Maybe. But we did give contact information. We gave who to contact, multiple ways to do it. And I would say anybody who's been to one of the steering committee meetings knows that it has been very open to anyone that wants to come there. And there have been newspaper articles, online articles, many public indications of what's been going on with this steering committee. I've done interviews that have put it out there. So to say that I on purpose didn't include people, I'm not in the political realm, in the business realm. No, I did not. I'm offended that you would imply it.
Who made the map?
I worked with the Community Economic Development Department, Miles Brainerd and Kathy Douglas, correct? To draw the boundaries. Kathy Douglas has the GIS software to create that. So I think you'll see on the map that was sent to you, it's specifically City of Rock Island, either logo or information down at the bottom.
I've been asked by several people why Modern Woodman is drawn out. I mean, if you look at that, they are specifically drawn out in all 8 of their properties. Why?
Yeah, I'll speak to that. There's really 2 things there, and I think that's a very valid question. The first being very early in the process, we met with Modern Woodman. I would say the amount of taxes they pay on their headquarters and the disproportionate impact that would have on the assessment caused them concern. And that is how over months of negotiation and months of discussion, we arrived at a point that rather than having them in the assessment, that they would give the $50,000 contribution annually to support the steering committee. So, again, negotiation, Modern Woodman is obviously a big, important player in downtown. They're going to warrant those sit-downs and those discussions about whether or not they're drawn in.
1,000%. I mean, the issue I have is, if you go by their properties, they should pay $117,458.36.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, and I apologize because I don't know the legal, but I know it's been said to me in some of the meetings that they have certain property tax exemptions that they don't employ.
Yeah, they've got one.
And so if that number factors that in, which I don't know, then,
Yeah.
so, again, that is a simple reality of figuring out a way to draw it. And quite honestly, I can understand Modern Woodman's position of where their home office is, how much that would or would not benefit from what we are doing downtown. It may have a different impact on them than some others. But that's how that negotiation went on.
Yeah. And who had those negotiations? You, Aaron?
I was there, Jack was there and then multiple members of Modern Women and.
Okay.
And just to add to that too, the scope of work was never to be focused on the area north of First Avenue. And so while we will not be taking over the park's responsibilities of servicing Schwiebert Park, for example. While we may partner and promote and do events or special activities at Schwiebert Park, this is not intended to do the other services, perform the other services activities north of First Avenue. And so that's the other piece.
Were there any other deals? So Modern Woodman made one. Is there any other business that's going to come to us and say, hey, I don't want to be in it?
I would say there's two different questions there. I'm not
Okay.
aware of another deal, because again, I would say Modern Woodman has a unique situation. I can't speak to whether somebody will come to you and ask to be drawn out. That's their prerogative.
Okay.
I have a question, Jack. So, Royal Neighbors, where do they stand on this? I know they're a nonprofit, but can you kind of tell me what's going on with that because they're in this district as well?
So yes, Royal Neighbors has been part of the steering committee since day one. They invest a lot in downtown Rock Island, a lot of employees here, real estate. They're supportive of work to improve downtown Rock Island. We have not received a clear, firm answer, yes, no, neutral. And so we are, we've had conversations again since day one, and we are waiting to hear back from them. Just as we've reached out to other property owners and have not heard back a firm answer. But I would say that there's those throughout the area that may see the benefits of it, but it just goes against every philosophy that they have to support an additional tax, even if it means to improve the area that they have property in.
Okay, so while you say that, that's a little ironic, because you say even though they're in support, there's a lot of businesses down there that are in support of what's going on, but there's no problem taxing them without their representation. My own opinion is I think this thing was July 9th, these letters go out, and here we are just a couple weeks later, and we're having these discussions, and I feel like there's not been enough proper representation from all the either private residents or property owners or businesses down there. To me, this is a very, not an adequate sample size. I'm not against an SSA, I just kind of looks like this thing has just been rushed through.
Can you help me understand who you're saying was not included?
Well, okay, there may be, what I'm saying in the survey or in the thing that's coming back. Now, to me, we're not even at a majority of the properties down there that are actually expressing their opinion.
That are not in writing expressing their approval.
Okay, but you guys are sending out a list of these.
Yes.
You guys have a list. Where's that whole list of all the ones that have supported it?
You indicated that there
Yes.
were businesses downtown that were excluded from this. I'm asking who was excluded.
I retract, and let me correct my statement. What I'm saying is, as was pointed out earlier, a lot of these were sent out. We're talking a couple weeks later, and here we are with a small, I mean, we're asking, like, what about Rural Neighbors, or what about this? They haven't come in yet, so I'm not understanding this. I don't think that there's enough representation. 28% is not even a majority. It's a small representation of what the people down there want.
Around the country, 25% is well established as a criteria to get an SSA approved.
And I think, so I have a couple issues. I mean, so there's 434 parcels. 120 have signed on. That means 313 have not. That's a significant, 28% yes, 72% we don't know. I guess my real frustration, I have a couple of them. One is the people who haven't signed on, are they a no? Are they a maybe? Are they a no, not at this time, but maybe in a year or two? Because, contrary to kind of what I'm hearing, there is a recession going on. Businesses are struggling. They're having a hard time hiring people. Illinois' got this minimum wage that you keep having to pay people more. The state's gone ahead and they've paused some of the taxes because people are really struggling. And I feel that why now? Why are we rushing this? I mean, what's the big deal if we wait another year and contact those 313 businesses and find out why aren't you in favor of this? I mean, get some more, I mean, I want more information.
Who's going to do that work over the next year? Because I believe
Well,
Jack's contract runs out.
Isn't that what we're paying? Isn't that part of our contract that we're paying for?
And they've all been contacted, and there've been
That's
countless
fine. I mean,
in-person meetings.
that's, you know, December, that's a couple months away.
I'm just curious, the last proposal that the city had, what was the voter roll? What percentage of the residents voted?
That's irrelevant to, so
No,
the other part.
you're making this akin to a vote, and I'd be curious.
I'm not saying a vote, I just think that
I have a vote
in
from,
any other thing in the city, if
30
72% are against it, it would not pass.
I guarantee you things have passed in this city that 72% of the people are against.
If 72% of this council said no,
My
wouldn't
only
pass.
question is with the math. You use a statistical term. You said we do not have a credible sample. So I want to understand from you, because a credible
I
sample
didn't
is
say
not.
credible sample. I just want to know.
So
the
you want
peop-
100% response?
I do know, I know, I just want to, no, because some of them are vacant. I just want to know for the people who are not supportive of it, why? We've had some of them talk tonight.
Okay.
I'm also deeply offended by the fact that on October 24th, I'm going to have a public hearing and turn right around and vote. So if I have a room full of people who come and say, hey, we're opposed to this because of this, this, and this, it's like, hey, gosh, I'm really sorry, I got to vote next.
Okay.
And that's wrong. I don't think the public hearing, and that's not your deal.
I'm just trying to draw the delineate,
Okay.
because I'm hearing multiple things together.
So my big thing is I want to know the people who are not for it, why? That's all I want to know. The
Okay.
other issue that I have, which I mentioned before, is you have nonprofits who aren't going to pay a dime, but are going to reap the benefits. So maybe, as we look at the terms of this, maybe there's a tax rate, a levy, for businesses, because the businesses are going to recoup that cost with increased traffic downtown, so they will have a chance to recoup that. A resident is not, because people aren't going to pay to come to their house, so maybe a resident pays a lesser amount. If I'm a landlord, sure, I'll sign on to this all day long, because I'm just going to pass it along to my residents, so I don't really care. If I own a vacant building, then maybe there needs to be a lower percentage charged to residents and maybe a higher percentage charged to vacant buildings, because then maybe we'll have some vacant buildings that will be turned into viable establishments so that you can recoup part of those expenses. That's all I'm saying. I feel bad for the residents who are getting caught up in this. I also feel bad for the businesses who are really, really struggling, and we're just, and my big question, I guess, is, why this year? Why not wait till next year? Why not do a little bit more due diligence, have a little bit more time to talk to people, have a little bit more time to get some plans, some definitive plans in place, instead of, I personally feel like I'm being rushed on this.
In respectfully, that is for you guys in your comfort level. I keep hearing it come back to the residents. I heard over here 12% of your rent is for real estate taxes?
12% of what I pay in taxes is what the annual cost will be.
At a 1.15 assessment?
I don't know if there's a good alignment with assessment taxes that they.
Yeah. So
But of the taxes I pay, it comes out to 12% for my expenses.
Okay. So, again, I think when you start talking about the impact of this, again, 1.15%, if you have, if you know the percentage of the rent, you can calculate out what this does to it. I would say it's not, you've heard from a resident downtown, it's not large amounts, but again, I'm sensitive that any dollar amount costs. You say, why not wait a year? Honestly, I'm just going to give you an answer as a person who's down here. How long are we going to watch it continue to fall down and get worse before we do something?
Well, where are we
Why
at?
not wait 2 years? Why not wait 5 years?
Where are we at with the millions of dollars this council's already approved to go into the downtown?
I'd love to know that.
I mean, where are we at with the plaza? I mean, we have plans, the 2000 plan. I mean, it's like every 10 years we have a plan.
Yep.
And, you know, and I listen to, we have a plan, but the plan gets going and then it falls apart. And I can understand, if I had a business downtown, I would struggle too, because I'm in favor of an SSA. I think we do need an SSA. My problem is, when are we going to see physical changes? Maybe if we see some physical changes and some investment, which the city has given to the downtown, maybe if we start seeing some of those changes, then residents will feel like, oh, okay, finally things are starting to happen. Finally, things are going to change. But to ask people to pay for a tax and I've been on council 3.5 years, so it hasn't been under my term, but, in the past, we have plans and they don't go anywhere.
I don't disagree. I don't think anybody that I've talked to in having these meetings would disagree with that. That's much of the frustration.
And that's why I say maybe we should wait until some of that $2.5 million we approved we start seeing something from that. Maybe, where are we at with that grant? We had matching funds with a grant, and I have no idea where we're at with the grant.
So answer a couple of questions, and thank you for your input, Jenny and everybody. If things were approved this year for the SSA, if it was approved, if it was certified with the county, we wouldn't even see any money from that. We wouldn't be able to start doing that work until, really next summer is when those dollars would start to come in. And so there still is a gap in terms of approving this and seeing the benefits of it. So a lot of this is managing everyone's expectations that even if we do this, not overnight, it's going to change downtown. It's going to take some time to get this up and rolling, to hire people, to solidify our partnerships. And so I think we do have a lot of momentum right now. It's important to note that the city of Rock Island does not have an ordinance requiring any percentage of signature or sign-off to present a proposal for an SSA. We did that because we wanted to meet with property owners. We wanted to see if there was an appetite for this. When we actually sat down with someone at the table, Aaron had noted, but 2/3 of those meetings ended in an endorsement of the proposal. And if you revisit that page, how many rock-solid Rock Island brands are represented on there? Regalia Manufacturing, celebrating 100 years in downtown next year. They've felt excluded from everything that has been branded downtown for the past 50 years. They see this as an not to speak for them, but they see this as an opportunity to be part of the winning team. In fact, we heard that from a lot of businesses and building owners on that eastern edge or area of the downtown. Please don't tell me you're trying to reinvent the District 2.0. No offense. It was great. Rock Island had an amazing, flourishing arts and entertainment district, but we don't anymore. This is a path to rebrand, to renew, and I think the names on that sheet are telling. A lot of institutions.
There's also a lot of names that are not on that sheet.
And
like
Jack,
Circuit 21 and QC Pancake House and Roosters and some of those.
Roosters is on there.
I didn't see them on the
Yeah.
list.
One other thing to note about the grants. So the dollars that the council secured, that allocated, the $2.5 million in ARPA dollars. So we are still waiting on our application to the state for the Rebuild Downtowns and Main Streets Capital Grant Program. We've been told at numerous times that, okay, end of this month is when we're anticipating the announcement. We're working with the state of Illinois. We're hopeful that announcement is still made this summer, but those matching dollars are locked into that. If dollars were spent, the local match dollars were spent prematurely, we would lose that potential amount that we could get from the state because they were matching dollars.
Real quick, it's timing. We got to watch the time. Anybody else? Judith has not had an opportunity to
Well,
ask some questions.
and I don't want to be rushed because we were not allowed to attend 2 years of your steering committee meetings. When we finally were allowed to attend beginning in May, we were told we couldn't ask any questions. So now is our chance to ask questions. So getting back to this letter.
With due respect, Judith, I met with you one-on-one and you were allowed to ask me questions. So to imply that we somehow operate in an ivory tower, and I was not doing this 2 years ago.
These are questions that have come up
I'm
since
happy
then.
to answer the questions. What I don't like is the implication that I somehow wasn't willing to answer the questions before. Because we had a one-on-one meeting.
Okay, let's go ahead.
So, getting back to the letter. So, Jack, did you keep a spreadsheet or a database of all of the parcels, who you talked to in person, who got the letter, who you maybe talked to on the phone, or maybe who you talked to via email, what their concerns were, if they called you again, or whatever. Do you have that documentation?
Of course.
Well, has the city received it?
No.
Why not? Aren't we your client? Contract says you have to perform according to our satisfaction, and I keep asking for information, and I haven't been getting the information that I've been requesting.
I can drop off a jump drive tomorrow morning of all of the property owners that have endorsed the proposed SSA, the proposal that you're looking at tonight, so that you can see all in writing, the property owners who signed in support, including Alderman Bill Healy here, that shows the support among the property owners that we listed on the screen. And that was the way that there was nothing in the contract, there's nothing in the state statute, there's nothing at the City of Rock Island ordinance that says you need to show that X amount of property owners support this. So the waiting period allows for public comment for any and all property owners, residents to speak their position, to share their opinions with all of you. In addition to that, there's also a separate 60-day period for folks to file a petition. So those who are in opposition of this have multiple opportunities, given the state statute, to express their opinion to council. So again, tonight, the proposal you heard from the Downtown Rock Island Steering Committee was to consider their proposal for considering, to approve or review their proposal for considering the establishment of an SSA.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah, real quick, we got to watch time, so I want to make sure everybody's got a chance to get questions.
So we've been asking about residentially owned. Do we know how many properties are residentially owned? Or how many renters there are in the downtown that this would affect? And then my other question related to this would be, how many low to moderate income people live in the proposed SSA district and whose rents then would be negatively affected by this tax? I just received documentation today from staff that in Rock Island, according to the latest census, 48% of our population or households are low to moderate income. So do we have that data? Yes or no? Just do we have that data?
I think the census data and looking at the census tracts would be the city's best opportunity to extract that data.
Yeah.
Did you use any of that data, yes or no? Did you have,
Did we use that data? No. We also, though, recently, in partnership with the city, completed a downtown housing study. And so we will and can share those reports with council as well.
Okay. So at the outset, in April 2021, when you were hired, did you send a mailing to all property owners and businesses explaining the purpose of the chamber contract and that you were looking for input about revitalizing downtown and inviting them to your monthly meetings, or at least contacting them to gather email addresses so you could keep them informed about the process? Yes or no?
No, but I believe it was at public meetings where the contract was approved, and it was reported heavily in the media that there was a new contract relationship between the chamber and the city of Rock Island to do the work that we've explained tonight. In addition to that, I did work with the Community Economic Development Department as well as our partners at DARI for email contacts and other contact information for property owners, business owners throughout the downtown. And again, part of the contract was to build trust, build relationships with all the stakeholders. And so that was my work. I needed to do that to uphold our end of the contract. And so that's why we spent a majority of the time here meeting, developing relationships with, developing trust with the private sector in downtown Rock Island.
So you didn't send a mailing, is that? Yes, sir. Okay, so
We did not send a mailer. It was not in the contract or a list of expectations to do that. But again, this was a very public project. It was a public contract that was approved at City Council.
I just think that would have been enough. Okay, so how many public meetings did you hold during this time for property owners, businesses, and residents to discuss the SSA?
We presented at a city council meeting in October. I believe it was a study session.
Oh, no, I mean your steering committee. How many public meetings did you hold?
They're not public.
Where
They're not
everyone was
public
invited.
meetings. And I believe city staff can speak to the legality of that.
Well, and
It was
that's
not subject to OMA, so.
right. Yes, I know, but that's my point. You talk about transparency, but there really wasn't transparency.
So in addition, meeting minutes and the outline of our contract, everything was provided on the city's website.
Yeah, that didn't happen until May, and that was only after I badgered the mayor at several city council meetings, asking for transparency, asking for the steering committee to be put under OMA. That's when he finally agreed to allow city council members to attend, and that's when I said, you don't even publish the meeting notes, and that's when they were put on the city website.
Right.
Okay.
We got to watch time here, unfortunately.
Well, can they hold over then until the regular meeting and answer questions?
That is one option. Another option is that everybody submit their questions to the city manager for them to answer and get back to you.
No, I want this on the record and recorded for the public.
I think this is important enough that we hold it over to finish it.
If they're willing to stick around and the other one, yes, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that when at the city council meeting.
This whole thing just to make downtown area beautiful again. Why are we arguing about petty stuff? This is all to make downtown better.
Yes.
You asking the wrong question.
I'm asking questions about the process and the transparency of the process.
I appreciate your comments and thoughts, sir. I really appreciate it. We got to watch the time, and we don't have any more time for the dialogue. So I appreciate it. We are going to have to cut this off. And can I ask you, your group, to wait?
Mayor,
Yes.
don't you think it would be appropriate for the alderperson who represents the downtown to make a comment here before we close things out?
I didn't know you were on here.
Please.
Well,
We did have a roll call, Mayor, if
so,
you
Yes,
recall.
oh, respond. I apologize. I didn't hear it. I apologize. I really do.
Yeah, I'll just make my comments brief, and of course, we're
am I
going to
being
talk
cut
about
off
this.
now, Alderman Parker?
Yes. I don't have much to say here, other than thank you to our partners at the Chamber of Commerce for the work that they've been doing, and a heartfelt thank you to the constituents that I represent in downtown Rock Island that are here tonight supporting this idea. I've represented downtown for over 5 years now, and these are the services that have always been needed. And so you have my support on this initiative, and I will continue to advocate for its success. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We will then, hopefully you can stick around and we can continue this at the regular council meeting. Please. Thank you. All right. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Move to second. Roll call, please.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Then
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Okay.